I remember when DMs meant Doc Martens. There'd probably be protests. People would say this is an absolute travesty. I was a fan of Chandelier. Like, I'm liable to actually sing that as a karaoke song, which is risky because it's extremely high. Hi, I'm Louis Theroux and I'm spilling the tea with Cosmo UK. I may be unique in the history of Great British Bake Off because I have been on it both as a human and also as a cake. The secret I'm going to tell you though is that when they say, bakers, you have 15 minutes left, right? They do those, like, irrespective of the time. They just get those as a shot. You know, like, okay, we were about to do the bit where we say 15 minutes, 1 minute, and basically ignore it because we just need that shot. Yes, because I was doing this series of programs in which I went back to my old documentaries. So it went out, in fact it's still on iPlayer, it's called Life on the Edge. It's 4 parts that looks back at some of my older shows. So as part of that, I looked back at the episode I did called America's Most Dangerous Pets, in which Joe featured, and I dropped him a line and I got in touch with him. I remember when DMs meant Doc Martens. I think in terms of social media messaging in general, my most famous friend might be Sia, the singer and songwriter, and she reached out to me a few years ago as she'd seen some of my programs when she lived in London in the late 90s and had enjoyed them, and she wanted to get in touch and get together for a meal. I was a fan of Chandelier, and still am, by the way. I'm liable to actually sing that as a karaoke song, which is risky because it's extremely high. But she and I became friendly, and I've stayed in touch with her, and in fact she's a guest on Grounded, but I think she's definitely top of the list. No offense to the other famous people in my DMs. I mean, Boy George, is he more famous than Sia? I don't know. Well, I once read a rumor somewhere online that I'd had plastic surgery, which is true, because I had plastic surgery on my midriff to have fat removed, but that was for a program, right? It was an episode of my series. It was Louis Theroux Under the Knife. But then I also read somewhere that I'd had my ears pinned back, right? Which, I mean, if they pinned my ears back, they definitely didn't do a very good job of it. The dream headline to read about myself would be Louis Theroux wins Nobel Prize for Literature. And you'd think, how would you win that? There'd probably be protests. People would say this is an absolute travesty. Frequently. I think the nature of the podcast form encourages intimacy, and that people say more than you might think that they would. And also, I think because of everything going on with the pandemic, there's a sense that we can connect by being really candid, you know, by sharing the things that are on our mind. And specifically, I'm more often surprised by what I share. I've been in quite a lot of trouble over the years. Once, when I was a child, I had a terrible habit of fiddling, like in terms of touching buttons. I don't know quite why, but I loved to push a button when I was about 11 or 12 years old. And I was on the Paris Metro once, and I saw a button, and there was a picture of like a stick man falling onto the train tracks and some writing in French. And there was a phone, and I thought, oh, if I push that button, it's going to tell me like what I should do, or something fun will happen, right? So I pushed the button, and it turned out I'd actually, I'd sounded the alarm to say that someone had fallen on the tracks. My dad said, "What are you doing?" Like, he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And, like, "You've just sounded the alarm." I burst into tears. Things like making Grounded, my new podcast series. Also cooking. At the beginning of lockdown, I was making a lot of vegetarian lasagnas. That was lockdown 1. Lockdown 2, I'll be doing a bit of cooking. I don't quite know what. I make a lot of soups. I find the act of blending to be quite therapeutic. And reading a book. Get off the phone for 15 minutes a night and read a book. Most recently, I read a terrific novel called Norwood by Charles Portis. It's very hard to find them, so don't bother looking for it. I bought a chemistry set. When I was a kid, they used to have chemistry set number 4, chemistry set number 5, and it would arrive and there'd be maybe a little Bunsen burner and some test tubes and filters and little bits of kit you screwed together, and you could pretend that you were a chemist. I ordered a chemistry set because I thought it might be fun for me to do with my 2 older kids, and that maybe they'd learn a bit about chemistry. I'm going to pass on my advice, which is that charge your phone overnight, because the worst thing is to start the day with low battery, and then it'll go dead halfway through the day, and you might be presented with a crisis, and you're going to say, that's the most boring piece of advice I've ever heard. And by the way, I already knew that. And both of those things may be true, but nevertheless, you still got to remember to do it. Thanks for watching. You can listen to Grounded Series 2 on the BBC Sounds app.